All sentient beings have the potential to attain Buddhahood, yet why are they trapped in the cycle of samsara? This is not only the question in the heart of the young monk Puzang, but also the answer that countless practitioners have long sought. Under the Bodhi tree on Mount Lingzhou, he happened upon the wise and fearless sage. The Venerable One, with compassion and wisdom, dispelled the fog and illuminated the path to enlightenment. On a tranquil afternoon, sunlight filtered through the branches and leaves of the Bodhi tree, casting dappled shadows. The young Bodhisattva monk, filled with deep doubts and longing, sincerely kneels at the place where the Buddha once delivered his teachings. Every single Bodhi leaf seems to contain endless wisdom, bearing witness to the countless seekers on their spiritual journey. O Buddha, you have compassionately taught that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature and are all capable of attaining Buddhahood. But why do we continue to cycle endlessly in this worldly realm of suffering, unable to attain liberation? The Bodhisattva's voice echoed through the open valley, filled with deep confusion and bewilderment, startling a flock of birds roosting in the treetops. At that moment, an elderly monk draped in kasaya robes slowly approached his side. The old monk's face was kind and serene, his eyes deep and penetrating, as if capable of discerning all the causes and conditions in the world. He is the ruler of Vulture Peak, the noble one without worry. Young person, your question is a long unresolved mystery in the hearts of countless practitioners. The Venerable Wuyo spoke slowly, his voice calm, yet filled with power. All sentient beings possess Buddha nature, inherently pure and serene, yet they are submerged in the sea of suffering, endlessly revolving through samsara. The reason behind this is a long story, yet it is extremely simple and clear. Pushun spoke with classic eloquence, a flicker of hope flashing in his eyes. He eagerly asked, Venerable One, I humbly beseech your compassionate guidance to dispel my doubts. Venerable Wuyo smiled slightly and pointed to a winding stream flowing nearby, saying, Look at that stream. Its water was originally clear and pure, but it has become turbid due to the mixing of silt. Similarly, the nature of sentient beings' minds becomes obscured in the same way. Originally, we reside in the Buddha nature, which is pure, non-dual, and without distinction. However, it is obscured by ignorance, afflictions, greed, attachment, and clinging. Because of this, we incessantly cycle through the 6 realms of samsara, enduring various sufferings. He led the Bodhisattva to the west, where they saw the stream flowing gently, clear enough to see the bottom. Several small fish are playing in the water, free and unrestrained. Look at these fish, carefree and untroubled, freely at ease, simply because they live in the present moment, neither entangled by the past nor anxious about the future. The Venerable Ampavar softly said, Yet we humans are always pulled by the karma of the past and driven by the desires of the future. Our minds are enslaved to the body, unable to attain freedom. How then can we truly achieve liberation? Pushun nodded thoughtfully and asked, Venerable Sir, how can we truly eliminate these afflictions and return to our original purity? How can this soiled mind be restored to clarity and brightness? The Venerable Wuyo picked up a falling Bodhi leaf from the ground and gently placed it in Pushun's hand. This leaf was once part of the Bodhi tree, drawing nourishment, basking in the sunlight, and full of vitality. Now, due to the complete dissolution of causes and conditions, it falls away and will ultimately return to dust. All phenomena in the world are impermanent, arising and ceasing, transforming and changing. Nothing is eternal and unchanging. He continued, but this is only the first step. Recognizing impermanence is meant solely to break our illusory attachments to all worldly phenomena. Only by seeing the true nature of the world can we let go of the greed and reluctance within our hearts. But this is still far from enough. We need even deeper wisdom to truly cut off the root of samsara. Further wisdom, the Bodhisattva repeated, his eyes filled with doubt, yearning for deeper guidance. Yes, a further profound wisdom. The venerable Anyapada nodded, his gaze compassionate yet resolute. Do you know? The reason we continue to cycle through the six realms seemingly lies in being influenced by external conditions and being drawn by karmic forces. In reality, all of this is a delusion manifested by our own mind. Have you ever heard the story of the silkworm spinning its silk in spring? The silkworm spins silk, binding itself within the cocoon. Tushian responded, sensing that the words of the Blessed One contained profound Chan insight. Indeed, just like the spring silkworm spinning its thread, it appears to be diligently working, but in reality, it is using the very silk it produces to firmly entrap itself within the cocoon, ultimately unable to break free. Within the heart of each of us lies a deeply rooted attachment to the self. This notion is like an invisible thread that tightly binds us to the entire world. For the sake of this self, we constantly pursue fame and gain, indulge in pleasures, worry about gains and losses, and are petty over trivial matters. Ultimately, one sorrowfully realizes that they have long been firmly trapped by the notion of self, unable to be liberated. This is the true root of samsara. The Venerable Wuyo explained in a clear and accessible manner, and the virtuous listeners suddenly awakened as if struck by lightning in their hearts. He reflected on all his past actions and found them to be truly so. Whether in practice or in daily life, he always centers himself on the ego, striving for his own benefit, troubled by personal gain and loss, and has never truly relinquished this self. Therefore, to truly transcend the sea of suffering in samsara, the key lies in thoroughly uprooting the deeply ingrained ego attachment. The Venerable Wuyo continued, "But how easy is that? I am like a shadow, following close and inseparable, present everywhere, difficult to escape. It has long permeated every corner of our thoughts, becoming the habitual pattern of our thinking." The Venerable Upeka, observing the struggle and confusion revealed on the Bodhisattva's face, understood the anguish within his heart. He smiled gently and said, "Do not be anxious, do not be anxious. Overcoming self-clinging is not an achievement of a single day or night. It requires us to engage in long-term practice, gradually rectifying and slowly transforming." The Buddha compassionately taught 3 important steps that can help us gradually dispel ignorance, sever afflictions, and ultimately reach the luminous shore of liberation. These 3 steps are precisely the concrete practice of the wisdom of no self in actual cultivation. Upon hearing this, the Bodhisattva's eyes once again gleamed with a ray of hope. He asked eagerly, "Venerable One, what exactly are the 3 steps? I humbly beseech your compassion to kindly provide me with a detailed teaching." The Venerable, without worries, repeatedly brushed his silvery white beard and slowly said, "These 3 steps are simple and easy to understand in words, but to practice them requires immense perseverance, diligent effort, and wisdom. They are respectively replacing ignorance with the recitation of the Buddha's name, replacing attachment with pure and sincere vow power, and replacing karma with cultivation practice. These 3 steps are like a 3-tiered ladder, progressing step by step, guiding us gradually towards the shore of enlightenment. Many people understand the principle of non-self and know the importance of letting go of attachments, but they find it difficult to actualize because they lack these 3 concrete and practical guiding methods. It is like a person who wishes to cross a turbulent river but does not know how to build a boat, and thus can only wander along the shore, gazing at the vast water with a sigh of helplessness. The Venerable Wuyo paused momentarily, a hint of profound meaning flashing in his eyes. He continued, saying that these 3 steps may seem simple, but they actually contain profound Buddhist wisdom. Take, for example, the first step of replacing ignorance with the practice of reciting the Buddha's name. Do you understand why one should recite the Buddha's name? The Venerable Wuyo spoke earnestly. Many people recite the name of Amitabha Buddha with their mouths, yet their minds remain scattered, filled with delusions and distractions. They are overwhelmed by greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt, the 5 poisons. This indicates they have not truly grasped the essential method of mindfulness of the Buddha. He recalled the usual scene of his chanting the Buddha's name, often uttering Amitabha, with a scattered mind, overrun by distracting thoughts, making it difficult to concentrate, let alone achieve the unity of mind and thought. How, then, can one truly achieve the unity of mind and thought? Pushan humbly inquired about the practice, which requires concentrating all karmic efforts on the Buddha's name, listening attentively to the sound of the Buddha's name, allowing the mind to follow it without thinking of the past or worrying about the future, but focusing solely on the present utterance of the Buddha's name. Beginners can start with mindfulness of cessation by using counting beads to help concentrate their attention, gradually transitioning from deliberate counting to effortless awareness, ultimately achieving continuous mindfulness where each moment flows into the next without conscious effort. He looked at the Bodhisattva, his eyes filled with hope. This requires long-term practice, much like sharpening a knife. Only through continuous honing can the blade become sharp. Reciting the Buddha's name is the same. Only through continuous practice can the mind become pure and delusory thoughts be eliminated. As long as you are willing to put in the effort, persevere consistently, and diligently make progress without ceasing, you will certainly be able to experience the wondrous effects of chanting the Buddha's name and feel the blessings imparted by the Buddha's mantra. Upon hearing this, the Bodhisattva's heart was filled with faith. He resolved from that moment onward to diligently recite the Buddha's name with greater earnestness, striving to unify his mind and thoughts, making the Buddha the most steadfast reliance in his life. Having completed the first step, let us now discuss the second step, replacing attachment rooted in love with a pure aspiration. The Venerable Warrior continued, attachment is another major root cause of sentient beings' samsara. We cling to various worldly pleasures, covet wealth, sensual pleasures, fame, food, and debts. These desires of greed are like thorny ropes, binding us firmly within the cycle of rebirth, making it impossible for us to break free. So how exactly can we generate a pure vow? The Venerable Wuyo compassionately said, our vow to be reborn in the Western Pure Land is not for our own enjoyment, but so that we may cultivate more effectively there, achieve Buddhahood more swiftly, and then return to the Saha world, to deliver those sentient beings still drowning in the sea of suffering. He pointed to the distant mountain range and said, look at that mountain towering into the clouds, majestic and magnificent, enduring wind and rain, standing firm and unshaken. Venerable Asana said, sentient beings undergo samsara and suffer within the 6 realms precisely because of the various negative karmas they have created in the past. Cultivating merit involves accumulating good deeds and virtuous actions to transform our karma, alleviate our suffering, and ultimately break free from the bondage of samsara. Cultivating merit is not merely about donating money to repair temples or offering meals to monks, which appear to be great meritorious acts. More importantly, it begins with the small details of daily life and starts from the very thoughts and intentions of the mind. The Venerable Wuyo then explained that being filial to one's parents, respecting teachers and elders, having love and fellowship with fellow practitioners, and helping others are all ways of cultivating merit. Even a sincere smile, a warm word of kindness, or a resolve to uphold virtuous thoughts are all quietly accumulating merit. He looked at Pushan with deep sincerity and said, cultivating merit is like farming. One must diligently till the fields and put in effort in order to reap a harvest. Do not underestimate each small act of kindness. Little by little it accumulates, like grains of sand forming a tower. Through daily accumulation, merit and virtue naturally increase. When your accumulation of merit reaches a certain level, it can gradually transform your karma, enabling you to slowly break free from the bonds of samsara and move toward enlightenment. Samantabhadra listened, and his heart suddenly became clear and enlightened. He understood that practicing Buddhism is not only for oneself, but also for benefiting all sentient beings. Only through continuous Buddhist practice can one accumulate sufficient merit and resources, thereby laying a solid foundation for the path to Buddhahood. These 3 steps are fundamental. Replacing ignorance with mindfulness of the Buddha is the foundation and root. Substituting attachment with pure vows is the driving force and direction. Employing practice in place of karma is the safeguard and the resource. The 3 complement each other, with none being dispensable. Venerable Wuyo summarized that only by diligently practicing according to these 3 steps can one gradually dispel ignorance, eliminate karmic obstacles, and ultimately attain supreme Bodhi, achieving the perfect fruition of the land of bliss. The Bodhisattva stood beneath the Bodhi tree, bathed in the warm sunlight, with a heart full of gratitude and hope. He deeply bowed to the Venerable Anuruddha and respectfully said, "Thank you, Venerable, for your compassionate instruction. I understand now. From this moment onward, I will diligently practice according to these 3 steps, advancing bravely and swiftly to free myself from the sea of suffering in samsara and attain unsurpassed Bodhi." The Venerable Wuyo smiled and nodded gently, speaking kindly, "Excellent. Well said. As long as you persist with unwavering diligence, never retreating, one day you will realize that the path to Buddhahood is not distant or unattainable. It lies right beneath your feet, nestled within your own heart. The key lies in whether you are willing to make the effort, to let go of attachments, and to genuinely practice the Buddha's teachings. As the sun sets in the west, golden rays bathe Vulture Peak, and the Bodhisattva's figure beneath the Bodhi tree appears particularly resolute. He knows that although the road ahead is long and arduous, as long as there is Buddha in the heart and a path underfoot, he will eventually reach the shore of enlightenment. And how are each of us any different? The path to Buddhahood lies within a single thought, within each of our actions.